Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is the week 9 edition, if you will, of the Between the Lines podcast. That's Mike Clark. I'm EDGYTIM. Thanks for watching, everybody. Glad to have you back. I know you're excited about week 9 and what's to follow. I know the guy on the other end of this is excited about what's coming up week 9 and then what follows after that. And heck, I'm excited too. So glad to have you here. We're going to talk about some of the top games in week 8, a wild, kind of wacky week 8, honestly. So we'll go through some of those games, and Mike will talk about the games he covered. I'll talk about the game I covered Friday and why I'm wearing this strange-looking hat today. We'll get into that a little bit, and then obviously get you ready and start talking a little bit about playoffs. I know, Mike, we're also going to touch a little bit on a playoff expansion proposal and what have you. And as always, we will get to your questions. So, Mike, welcome back. In case you weren't sure if it was fall, I think last night might have been the topper. I think a lot of furnaces, Mike Clark, were fired over after last night.
Yeah. There was actually it was Saturday night when was it Saturday night? I can't even remember what night was. Whatever it was, that it rained basically all night long for like
Yeah,
12.
that was Saturday. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely feeling like it. The leaves have not changed here in Wilmington very much. I'm looking out my window. I see a little bit of color, but not a lot. But sure, we'll be seeing more of that. Anyway, so getting started, my games on did my public league doubleheader on Thursday. I was out at Stagg Stadium. First of all, for an early game between Julian and Bogan, Julian wins 38-20. Chase Mister had a couple of touchdowns for Julian. Kind of one of the storylines we're following a little bit is, Julian is a lot of people around the state with a little bit of sense of history know Julian was one of the great public league programs back in the 70s, 80s, 90s under J.W. Smith. And they're down in the blue now. They've got a smaller school, about 400 kids in the building, but they have a brand new football field on campus now. So they're kind of hoping that that's going to spur the program a little bit. And it looks like they're going to start making that climb up from the blue to the second tier of the white. And then they eventually want to get back to the red for sure. Next game, I went out to Rockney to see Curie again. Curie 54, Lakeview 34. Gabriel Taylor, the quarterback for Curie, is back. He had missed a couple of games, came back last week, played a few snaps, got hurt again, but he was back this week. 3 carries for 166. He had a 96-yard touchdown. Curie is 7-1 now. I've talked about it a lot. Maybe some viewers and listeners are, have heard it all before now, but I mean, Curie has everything it needs to be successful in public league football. Right now, they're in the top tier of the white, and at some point, they're going to be going back up to the red, which is where they should be. So, just another step in that direction. Then on Friday night, I was out in Cal City at Wilbur Petrie Field for the Battle of Burnham. TF North, TF South Meteors win 28-12. Jermaine Henley, the quarterback, has 3 touchdowns, including a couple of touchdown passes to Andre Searcy, 67-35. This was the second game they played on a brand new field. It's gorgeous, green turf. It's got some purple and black accents, as you would expect from the color scheme for the Meteors. They have one thing, too, that I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it before that I know of. I'll qualify it that way. They also play soccer on this field, and the goalposts turn around. So when they put the soccer net, in what would be the football end zone, basically,
Okay.
the goalposts turn around so that does not interfere with playing soccer. And there's a motor, they just flip the switch, posts swing around to the other direction. Yeah, so
Different.
Yes, it is. There's still some cosmetic stuff to be done. The track isn't done yet. and they didn't replace the scoreboard or the stands, as far as I can tell. So there may be some more upgrades, but it's much better than it was. The Meteors were the last school in the 14-team South Suburban Conference that still had a grass field, and that was honestly kind of a point of contention with them that they were the last team. And actually, TF South was the second to last team
Yep.
with a grass field. So the two District 215 schools were the two last schools in that conference to get turf. TF North playoff eligible again. Just, what can we say about Anthony Pignatello and
Yeah,
John
he's done a great job. Yep.
coming back to his alma mater and reviving a program that was really in difficult straits. Got a bunch of coaches back who had been in the building, had success there before. Artie Rogers is his defensive coordinator, was a head coach there, was the last playoff coach. They're actually Mike Anaclario runs the special teams. Fred Schultes is another one who's been around for quite a bit, and just Norris on the right, heading the right direction. TF South has a new coach this year, Trent Jensen, who is another alum coming back to his school. Things are heading in the right direction for South. The record doesn't show it right now. Right now they're sitting at 2-6, and they've had 11 wins over the last 3+ seasons. But there are some good things going on. They have a freshman level back, which is one important component in building a successful program, as opposed to building one team and then the seniors graduate and then you're back to square one again. They're also working with the youth program in town to get those kids to go to TF South and to coordinate, the teaching the offense and the defense at a younger level. Numbers are decent. And I think that Trent Jensen will have things turned around. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but good things for TF North and TF South for sure.
Yeah, great to hear. And we talked before about Trent, and he's not a pageant, but he's about as close to being a pageant without being a pageant. I mean, I believe he played for Tom. He's been with Bob for a long, long time. So, again, a guy that really knows that school, knows the community, and it hurts being a Meteor talking about him in such great respect. But that's how I was with the pageants as well. Great guys, great coaches, and no doubt that Trent's going to get them turned around as well. Very happy TF North did not turn the field around when they renovated it. They kept it going east-west, right? How many east-west fields have you seen, Mike Clark?
There's not a lot. There's not a lot.
No.
Stag, where I was on Thursday, is an east-west field in the public league. Eckersall is an east.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking Stag and Payless. No, you're right. The public league Stag. Yes.
Yeah. The old Rich East is an east-west field. They don't play it anymore, obviously, but
it was.
And Dushan is an east-west field. So there's a few I can think of here. They're definitely rare, and you kind of see why. Certainly, when I was walking up to the stadium, this was a 6 o'clock start, which I very much appreciated, by the way, to get home at an hour. The sun was just setting, and it was blinding. Fortunately, it went down before, because I got there, I don't know, 5:15, something like that. So, it was okay. But I mean, and you got to remember too, the other thing is that North didn't have lights for a long time either.
Right.
Played day games for years, and that could be kind of a tricky sun situation for a late season afternoon game, when the sun's going down around 4:30 or 5, and you're on the east side and staring into the sun. So, but yeah, it's not a problem anymore. They have lights now, but
very unique.
Yeah. Saturday I was out at Gately after you were out at Gately. Saw Simeon and Phillips. Simeon 34-0. Couple of storylines here. Mikhail Blade is back playing for Simeon, the Michigan commit. really impactful edge rusher. Just really, and you could see too that they have him and Brian DeMoss, who are a very good pair of edge rushers. Brian DeMoss is another Power Four prospect as well. So those are kind of the anchors of the Simeon defense. Obviously, he's back. He actually came back last week against Westinghouse after missing some time, but that's a key for Simeon's playoff hopes. Cornell Conley, who is another D1 prospect for Simeon, had 3 touchdowns. He caught an 18-yard pass. He had a 28-yard reverse, and he had a 68-yard pick six. Raymond Liggins, who was another one of their Division I prospects, caught a touchdown pass as well. So Simeon has some talent.
Yeah.
They're 5-3. Have to play Morgan Park this week, which is the Battle of Vincennes rivalry game. So Simeon should be in the playoffs. They're going to be in 6A, and we'll see. They might. Again, they've got some talent, and if the talent can gel, they could be an interesting team in 6A, I think. So
yeah, I like the schedule, Mike, for a handful of these top level CPL teams. The fact, because you remember, it still happens, but up until recently, it would be the first round of the Public League playoff in week 9.
Right.
You would get matched up generally. A Morgan Park and a Simeon and a Kenwood would get matched up against a team they probably would blow the doors off in week 9. But I like the fact that, especially Morgan Park, and Simeon and Kenwood as well, they're kind of getting pushed. They're playing their best competition in the Public League late in the year, which hopefully kind of gets them a little bit more prepared for playoffs and going out to the suburbs or the suburban schools coming in to take those teams on. Might help.
Yeah, for sure. And that was one of the things that when they reorganized the top level of Public League football, it was the Red until this year. Now it's called the Metro. There's 16 teams, and all the best teams are in it. And some of the bottom tier teams in that Metro are struggling a little bit, and some of the other teams that are in that next level, which is the White North and the White South, are going to be moving up. Curie, I'd mentioned before, is a team that's probably going to be moving up. Peyton just moved, or Sullivan, was it? No, Peyton moved up last year. That's what it was. So, there is some movement as teams kind of build up their programs a little bit. But yeah, that was the rationale for putting together the Red/Metro, is to have all these 16 teams, and obviously they don't all play each other. They actually have geographic schedules based, because Morgan Park, Simeon, Kenwood, Phillips all play each other, and then on the north side it's the teams like Lane and Peyton and Lincoln and Taft play each other. So Amundsen in that group as well.
Good. Very good. I Friday went out to lovely Hersey and watched Hersey take on Prospect Mid-Suburban East battle. Mike, I've seen, I think, maybe 3 out of the last 4 years I've been at this game, and it seems it always surprises me, but Mike, it never should, because they all kind of wind up the same way. They're usually high scoring, usually very competitive, kind of back and forth game, and that's exactly what we had Friday night. Hersey trailing by 21 points going into the third quarter. Rallies, comes back, gets the win, 38-34 over Prospect. Truly a tale of two halves. Hersey just offensively couldn't get a lot going. I thought Prospect played really well here in the first half. In particular, Jackson Cassini, junior quarterbacks. Mike, everywhere I go this year is a junior quarterback. It's unbelievable. I've seen more young quarterbacks this year than any year I can remember. Really nice player, good sized kid, probably 6'2", 190 pounds, and throws it well, runs with it well. Definite weapon for Prospect. As we know, they've put up a lot of points this year, and you can see why. Nice group of skill kids. Also, couple of really good running backs. Just kind of caught fire in that first half. Took a nice halftime lead, 27-6. Then all of a sudden, Hersey came out, Mike, and just couldn't miss. Big, long first opening drive, score. Mike, it's one of those games where you're looking at the clock and thinking, there's a lot of time left in this game, and that's kind of how it must have felt for a prospect. It would never go. The clock would never keep moving.
Right.
It just dragged and dragged, and it just kept Hersey in the game. And Tom Nelson, head coach at Hersey, does just a tremendous job along with Dan DeBuff at prospect. Two really well coached teams. I mean, just a chess game back and forth. Thought Tommy called a great game offensively, especially in the second half. Did some really nice things. Jake Norrott, the junior quarterback, again, another junior quarterback, 6'4", 6'5", 200 pounds, ended up with 5 combined touchdowns in the win. So they come back, get a late touchdown. They end up winning 38-34 over prospect. Again, always very, very competitive, always well played. And what you like, and you see this, Mike, all the time. I mean, it's one thing to have a rivalry game and what have you, but when you have rivals that know each other, they respect each other, and that goes for the coaches as well as the players, it just makes it that much better. And that's exactly how this game was. I mean, it was a big emotional win for Hersey to come back at home. But again, just a fun game to cover. And like I said, now I know I keep going back because every time I go, something wild happens, and it's usually really high scoring. So that was my Friday game. Saturday, I did end up going to see Kenwood and Morgan Park. I saw the first half, and I sat through the ambulance delay and everything else, which was unfortunate, but that's a whole other subject we can get into someday. So I had a chance, wanted to see Kenwood a little bit, so I was able to do that. Already covered Morgan Park week 1. Then this goofy hat, well, it's not goofy. It's University of St. Francis in Joliet. They played St. Xavier on Saturday and got invited out by Joe Curie and all the good people at St. Francis. So Coach Joe and I, who I do the radio with on Thursdays, we went and just had a blast. And, Mike, you forget about, so many of these smaller colleges and NAIA and Division III, ton of local kids playing on both teams. So it was just fun to see these kids again and get to say hi to some people and watch really good ball games. St. Xavier won 10-0 and just a blast. So it was great to kind of touch base. It's something, Mike, I told you I definitely want to do, and I know you're always busy, but it's fun to go do that every once in a while. And like I said, just seeing all the kids from on both teams that we cover all throughout the year and years that they play in the high school level, it's just fun to see them move on to college and recognize some kids that I didn't even recognize because they're grown men now. Just grab me aside and said, "Hey, how you doing?" and great to see you. And so, yeah, just a really fun day and a great, the rain stayed away and able to get everything in on Saturday. So, yeah, just had a fun time. It was a really good game, and that was my weekend.
Yeah, obviously, as we talked about before we started recording, there's a pretty good small college team in Naperville too, North Central.
Yeah. That's my next one probably this year. I'm going to try to fit that in. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, and there's actually a D2 program in town now too.
Yeah, Roosevelt.
Roosevelt is just moved up to D2, so
yeah.
So you basically have literally every in the Chicago area, everything from Power 4 and Northwestern, D2 with Roosevelt. There are a bunch of NAIs and D3s, so there's
maybe Chicago State one of these days is going to be FCS. That's the plan. Last time I heard.
Yeah, well, we're going to see how that plays out. That definitely is the plan. They have a coach. They hired a coach, and
we'll see.
We'll see where they play and who they recruit. But yeah, so those were some of the big games. There were a lot of other big games. So let's do our weekly roundup of other big games. At Barta Dowling Stadium, Fenwick came in and gave Mount Carmel a real scare, I would say. Fenwick took the lead early. Mount Carmel came back, went up 28-14. Fenwick came back and tied it, and Mount Carmel wins 35-28. Nathan Samuels with the game-winning touchdown with 2:12 left. So, great performance for the Friars, to go into that hostile environment and being a tie game with Mount Carmel with under 3 minutes to play. I'm not surprised. I saw Fenwick Montini earlier this year. Fenwick is just rock solid. The Thies brothers, Tommy and Jake,
Yeah,
are
really good players, both of them.
Jamin Williams, the quarterback for Fenwick, is very good. In this one, Emmett Dowling from Mount Carmel had 211 passing yards, 3 TDs. He was picked off twice by Fenwick, including a pick six. Jake Thies from Fenwick, 11 tackles, an interception, 3 tackles for loss, 100 offensive yards, and a TD. Him and Jake and Tommy both play both ways. Two really good players for the Friday.
Mike, what's funny about this game is the fact that if there weren't so many other wild, wacky games, this would have got a lot more play. Than all of a sudden people look and go, "Hey, wait a minute, that Mount Carmel Fenwick game was really close." That was like after people went through like a half dozen upsets that happened on Friday.
I know, and that's a cool one too, because of course Mount Carmel and Fenwick are two of the long time publicly Catholic rivals. Going back to the 20s and 30s. So the one that everybody looked at, Naperville North 14, Lincoln Way East 6.
Yeah.
Dennis Williams did not play in this game. He was hurt. And obviously it made a difference. Naperville North's defense was tremendous. And William Elo had a couple of touchdown runs for the Huskies. Snapped Lincoln Way East's 30-game regular season winning streak.
Huge win. Huge win for North. Huge win for Sean Drendel. I don't care who didn't play. That's a big win. And again, you hope Jonas comes back. Mike, I can tell you, I talked to Rob Zavonar this morning. He's sticking with the company line. It's an ankle foot issue. He's day to day. So we'll see. Now I'm going to be out there Thursday. East is hosting Sandburg. They're playing this Thursday night. I do my radio show. We're going to do it out from the game, and then the station's going to cover the Lincoln Way East game right after that. So we'll see. We'll see if he plays. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know what to think, honestly. If you kept him out last week, I would assume you might keep him out this week as well, just to be safe. But we'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, that's a big point of concern, definitely for Lincoln Way East and the fans out there for sure. So we'll see Thursday what happens.
Yeah, and Sandburg maybe without its starting quarterback as well as Sean Reese, and then out the last 2 games, or he got knocked out 2 games ago, did not play last week, so that takes a little bit of the luster off of that game without 2 of the 2 starting quarterbacks for sure. York 21, Glenbard West 20, continuing the theme. York's top quarterback, Dominic Alfano, is done with a broken collarbone, actually. Zach Assad, backup quarterback, threw 2 touchdown passes. Henry Duda had a 56-yard touchdown to go ahead, and Hunter Stepanich blocked a PAT late. So the West Suburban Silver just, I don't think there's any doubt. It's clearly the best conference in the state. There are 4 ranked teams still, and
in Hinsdale, Central, Mike, is just as good as anyone. Honestly, they can play. They have played with everyone.
Yeah. So there was that one. Then the other one was Lions 24, Downers North 20.
Yep.
EJ Kuhlman had a 1-yard touchdown run with 15 seconds left, 2 total TDs for the Lions to kind of knot things up there a little bit more. So basically, there are no unbeaten teams in conference play anymore. Somebody is going to win that with 1 or I haven't looked at the possibilities. I guess maybe 2 losses could wind up winning it too. So that's a crazy conference, very, very balanced. Then the other one, I guess, it was kind of a shocker to a lot of people. Maybe not so much the result, but certainly the margin. Carmel 42, Loyola 14. Trey Taylor 410 total yards and 5 touchdowns for the Corsairs. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit about how this impacts Loyola for the playoffs. But Carmel is kind of living up to the potential that a lot of us. And I guess. Trey Taylor is spectacular. CSL South basically was decided. Maine South 38, Glenbrook South 7. Jamison Purcell had 263 total yards, 4 touchdowns, and just remember again, Lincoln Way East at full strength beat Maine South 41-0 in week 1, and Maine South has just absolutely dominated ever since. They've got a ton of big wins, and that again shows you how good Lincoln Way East is with Jones, and I guess we see how it's a difference. What a difference it is not having him. One other big one. Bradley knocks off Lincoln Way West, previously unbeaten, 35-13. Ellis Johnson, 214 passing yards, 4 touchdowns for the Boilermakers, and Lizale Edmond, 3 touchdowns and 4 catches for 167.
Yeah, those Edmond brothers, Mike, are they're something else. So they are outstanding. Lizale's a senior, and I know the younger one. Yeah. He's just a sophomore. And again, heard nothing but rave reviews about how quick these guys are and team speed overall, and how good Ellis Johnson is a quarterback. Those are really good balls. So, yeah, Bradley, another team you got to watch out when the brackets come out. We'll definitely keep an eye on Bradley, because I think Bradley can be one of those teams that when it's all said and done, they could go a while. I don't think there's any doubt about it. So, again, and then you mentioned Maine South, and what's been impressive is they have just, as you mentioned, absolutely after Lincoln Way East, they've absolutely rolled against really good competition. I mean, they beat Warren, they beat Barrington, and we talk about that crossover schedule that they have in the conference between the Central and the Mid Suburban, and definitely. So those are some pretty good quality wins from Maine South as well. They're just not whipping up on so-so teams. So it's going to be fun to watch. Mike, several top performances from individuals over the week. Why don't you go through them?
Yeah, we got Malik Carter, the Huntley quarterback. It's kind of been a little bit under the radar, but getting on the radar a little bit more. 23 of 28 passing, 330, 5 TDs, and a 48-36 win over McHenry. Izzy Abrams from Montini, 20 of 24, 441 passing yards, 5 total TDs. This one's out of our area, but I can't pass up this number. Lena Winslow, quarterback, Wild, 313 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns. And Lena Winslow, of course, is always a team that, we see them often in the playoffs, and especially in the state finals. I know there's some other good teams up in Northwest Illinois, like there always are.
Aiden, by the way, playing full-time linebacker on defense as well. So,
well, you get that in smaller schools for sure. So Rita running back Brandon Johnson Jr. had 4 rushing touchdowns and a TD pass. St. Rita keeping its playoff hopes alive. The Mustangs are 4-4 now. Richmond Burton running back Hunter Carley, 280 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 sacks on defense. Richmond Burton's another team kind of on the fringe of our area, way northwest McHenry County, usually in the 3A, 4A range to keep an eye on. This is an interesting line for Cedric Terrell III from Kankakee.
Hey, by the way, can I stop you real quick? I want to add something to Richmond Burton.
Sure.
Mike Knoll won his 300th game as well.
Yes.
So the guy that had a ton of success early in his career at McHenry, then went to Glenbrook South. Now he's up at Richmond Burton and won his 300th game. So congrats, Mike. That's phenomenal. So congrats to Mike Knoll.
Absolutely. Cedric Terrell III, 9 catches for 116, 2 receiving touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown, a kickoff return touchdown. And the K's beat Thornton 52-6 this week. The K's,
the big one.
Yeah. And I was talking to John Konecki at Crete, and apparently the schedule has been set up this way for quite a while, that Kankakee and Crete play in week 9. And he told me that is going to change, unfortunately. This game, which is pretty much the Southland championship game every year is not going to be in week 9 going forward, but we have one more year of it, so that is good.
Yeah.
So we have a few more things on our plate today. So one of the things that has come up is the public league and qualifying for the state playoffs.
Okay.
And not a lot of people understand how it
Nope.
all works, unfortunately. And I was actually talking to the Seuss today, and we were kind of commiserating about that fact. So let me break it down. We talked about the Public League Red before. That is the top 16 teams. That is a conference that operates exactly like every other conference. The conference champ is an automatic qualifier, and everybody else qualifies. 6 wins, you're in. 5 wins, you're probably in. 4 wins, you need a lot of help. The next conference down is the White North and the White South. They also operate that way, like every other conference in the state. And this is where it gets tricky after this.
Okay.
So there are 2 more levels below the White North and the White South. There are 4 white conferences, and there are several blue conferences. So the blue is easy. They're not eligible for the playoffs. They go 9-0, doesn't matter. None of them are eligible. The tricky part is in the middle. The 4 white conferences, other than the North and South. There is the Southwest, the South Central, the West, and the North Central. And here is how it works for them. The 4 conference champs, they're in. They're just like other conferences in that regard. But then it gets complicated. So in this grouping, they play crossovers in week 9. They have a 6-game. These are 6-team conferences. They play 5 conference games, and the conference games are over for all of these teams.
Right.
They play crossovers in week 9. The 4 second place teams from these conferences will have crossovers. So it's the South versus the South Central, the West versus the North Central. And the winners of those second place crossover games get in. So that's 2 more qualifiers.
Yep.
So it's complicated, but it's also nice because it's straightforward. We know that there are going to be 6 qualifiers out of 4 conferences. No more, no less.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. That wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't too bad, but people will look at the standings and they'll say, well, there's a 6-win team. They're in, right? No, they're not in necessarily.
Yep. Now, I'm
so.
sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but can you explain why it's that way?
Yes.
And I know that the talk before was, now the reason they're aligning the conferences is because obviously the public league wants to send their best possible teams to the state playoffs. I believe that was one of the explanations we've heard before.
Yeah, that was so. The reason that it's like this is, for years, basically, all of the white and red public league conferences operated the same as other conferences in the states. So you would have the Blues, which used to be called the Intercity, they were never eligible, but the other conferences above the Blues always operated the same as the other teams in the state. And you would get 5 and 6 win teams from lower level white conferences that were seriously uncompetitive.
Right.
And David Rosengard, who was the former public league sports chief, heard that complaint, and he devised the system, which is still in place basically. And it's basically designed to eliminate the lower tier white teams from getting to the state playoffs and answering the responding to complaints of people around the state who felt that there were too many public league teams that didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, that were in the playoffs. So bottom line, and that's why we started getting 4 and 5 teams in, because the number of public league qualifiers shrank. And that's why, we've had
right. So if you get in at 4 and 5, you can thank the Chicago Public League.
That's basically what it comes down to. Yes, that is what it comes down to. Though that's where those extra playoff berths came from. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't. And
Even I can follow it, so it's cool.
Yeah, hopefully that helps some folks
Yeah,
understand things as
because
they're
we know the ultimate bracketologist, but we know there's a lot of amateur bracketologists out there this time of year, and they're the ones looking for those answers. So I think that's a very good explanation of what to expect out of the public league when it comes down to the playoff pairings. Mike, I know we had a very, very interesting question last week. I think we were probably already recording when we got that question. We have that, and then we also had we asked every week. We'll ask for your questions, your input. We did again this afternoon, a little bit later than I usually like this afternoon, but I did put one out there, and we did have someone reply. So, Mike, let's do that one first, and then we'll talk about the question we had last week is second, if that's okay.
Sure.
So, according to West Breton, which is Breton West on X, what are you hearing about the chances of expanded playoff proposal passing? Wes is referring to the plan Roxana put forth last week that I think Mike had happened, maybe a day after we recorded, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't get a chance to really talk about it. And then he also asked, looking at the possibilities of 4-win Loyola being left out of the playoffs. I'm not sure how you can make a case that the current system is just fine. We need to acknowledge that not all conferences are created equal. Okay. Mike, your thoughts on the expanded playoff proposal? I'm not sure how heavily you dug into it, and also talk about Loyola a little bit and how they can be impacted.
Sure. So the Roxana proposal, as I understand it, there's actually a couple of components. Number one is it would do what we've been talking about for a while, which would add 128 teams, bring us down to basically all 3-win teams would be in, possibly some 2-win teams based on playoff points. Totally in favor of that. You and I are in agreement on that. We love the idea. We think it's going to help scheduling. So you're not trying to get 5, and if you can't get 3, then you probably don't deserve to be in.
And Roxana even mentions the chase for 5 in their proposal, saying, a big reason for this is everyone's trying to schedule for those 5 wins. And anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I love that part of it. There is also a return, the zombie proposal that will not die.
Nope.
Which is regionals, districts, whatever terminology you want to use. We've talked about this before. I have not changed my mind one bit about it. I think it's a terrible idea to have totally geographic based scheduling and killing conferences for football. I think, I understand the viewpoint of people who say, I don't know who's in what conference anymore, although I think that is stabilized somewhat. But the reason that we had conference shifting is because teams wanted to find, it was basically like, teams seeking their level of competition. Teams want to find conferences that they can be competitive in, that they have a shot to win however many games you're talking about, whether it's 5 currently or 3 in the future, and they also don't want their kids to get beat up, honestly, by having, a program with, 1 or 2 levels, 30 kids on the varsity going up against a program that's got 3 levels, maybe 4.
80 kids on the varsity. And
right, exactly. And and I think one of the things that I saw is that they're saying that the public league may opt out of this so that the public league could still schedule however it wants to. And I think, that might be, that would help somewhat relieve this. If
it would, I'm sure it would also get them extra votes on their proposal.
Well, and that's exactly where I was going. Yes. I mean, because if the public league is opposed to your proposal, that's a lot of schools that you're going to
Yep.
have that you're not going to get. So, but even I think even in Northern Illinois, and I've talked to a few coaches in the past week up here, um, I think there's a lot of opposition to this in Northern Illinois, specifically in the Chicago area, but not exclusively. This is very much a downstate driven proposal.
Yep.
Um, and, uh, you know, I've heard some extreme reactions that people have said that there are some schools that might just not play an IHSA football schedule and might just try to schedule 9 games some other way because they do not want to be in a district situation at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that that fans should probably understand is that, you know, there are a lot of proposals that come up every year, and
They don't all make it.
well, they don't all make it, number one, but I think most people, are kind of like, okay, well, if that passes, I could be okay with that. And if it doesn't pass, if my proposal doesn't pass, I'm okay with it, But I mean, this one evokes
My
some
my whole
pretty
question.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike. Finish your thought. My bad.
No, this one evokes some pretty strong,
Yes.
visceral opinions on all sides. I've heard people say that some big schools won't have football if this goes through, just because of the geographic situation that they would be in. And the thing about it is it would never change.
Right. Yep.
Conferences can change.
Yeah, your location's never. You're at where you're at. So
Right. And the enrollments are not going to change enough to go from
no.
one class to another. So basically, this is something that's going to be set in stone forever. And I think that a lot of people don't like that because, program strength changes over the course of years. There are programs now that are not as strong as they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And there are other programs that are better than they were 10, 15,
Yep.
20 years ago. But keeping things static, and again, this seems like a very extreme solution to what I understand is for some people a problem. But if we expand the playoffs, I think the problem goes away. If we just expand the
Yeah.
playoffs, then I think we don't have to worry about scheduling. So anyway,
What I would love to know why this regional scheduling portion was attached. Why? Why dust that off and throw it at everyone again? You had me with the expansion. I'm like, okay, is this a solution? Is this a possible solution? Do we give this a try for a few years and see if it actually does ease up scheduling? Okay. I try to be somewhat of a rational person. I get it. I get where they're coming from. Okay. And then Mike, boom, here comes the right cross coming. Hey, here's this thing we've tried it out here a half dozen different times. We're just going to throw it out here again. Look, the people that might have been with you or even thinking about being with you, they're not with you anymore because of this. I don't think this has a chance at all of passing the way it is right now. Again, the last time we talked about this, Mike, I had the Roxana head coach on the other podcast I do with Matt Lang for the small schools, and he mentioned expanding playoffs. And I was with him, and we talked and made some sense. Couple of things. Number one, in their proposal, they bring up geographics and keeping it north-south. Forget about 1 through 32. Now we're getting rid of that. Now we're going to be strictly north-south. So obviously they like playing the same damn teams every playoff year because that's what north-south does. You play the same people every single year, no matter what. I understand wanting to get geographical representation to a state championship game. Like it or not, that's part of our system that's going to unfortunately, probably continue for a long time. I don't know who these people are that love north-south. Because, Mike, I talk to coaches north, I talk to coaches south. No one likes it that I've talked to. They're tired of playing the same teams. Go to Wilmington in your backyard and talk to Jeff Reeds and ask him about who they run into every year in the playoffs. And he'll tell you it's the same damn schools we run into every year.
Yep.
I don't get that portion of it at all. whatsoever. Attaching the regional scheduling, I think, just kills this idea, and it's not a bad idea. It really isn't. So I don't know, Mike. Do they go back to the drawing board and try to redraw this up? I don't know. Um, but again, I just don't think it's going to pass this way. I really don't. We'll
Yeah,
see.
well, yeah, it's not on the ballot yet. That is to be determined what
Right.
proposals are on the ballot.
Oh,
Yeah,
one other thing, really quickly, and I give Steve Susie all the credit because I know Susie worked with them on this as well. Seuss actually took the numbers from last year and did the math for what this would look like. And Mike, I want to say Seuss said it would include, was it 25 two-win teams? That's a lot of two-win teams getting into the playoffs. At this point, don't you put everyone in if that's basically where we're heading? And how many two-win teams want to play in the playoffs?
well, um, there are a few, not a
Right,
lot, um,
right,
but I think the problem with putting everyone in, first of all, you don't want to get those blue public league teams that I was just talking about, and that's about
right.
right now. Right now, it varies from year to year because teams come up from JV and teams drop down. But
Yep,
right there, we're talking about 25 teams somewhere in that vicinity, and then there are other teams, public league or otherwise, that kind of just barely get to the end of the season. Honestly,
So to go back to the original question that let me find it, that Wes posted asking about Loyola, looking
yeah.
at the possibilities of 4-win Loyola being left out of the playoffs. I'm not sure how can make a case that the current system is fine. Wes, I think Mike and I agree with you. And that's why we mentioned before, how about some type of formula that takes into account who you're playing?
Yeah,
And and I have no problem with a 4-win team getting in with high playoff points. I have a problem with that at all. So
yeah. I mean, I've mentioned this in the past. Jeff Sagarin, who runs Sagarin Ratings, he did it for USA Today for college football and basketball for years. He's been doing it for Indiana football and basketball actually for quite a while too. And there are other states. I don't
yeah,
know
that he does it.
in my head. There are other states that do use computer rankings, um, and it's the technology is there. It's a it's a want to use it. And I don't think that that's going to happen in Illinois because I don't think there's enough support for it. But I mean, it's better than what we have in Indiana, where I worked for a long time. It was a blind draw. Everybody
Yeah,
got it. It was a blind draw. So two winless teams, two 9-0 teams playing each other the first round. So at least Illinois is a little bit better than that. Well, Illinois is a lot better than that. So but
right.
I hope that it feels like the momentum that is there for playoff expansion. There were some proposals for everybody in. I think the momentum has kind of waned for that. I think the momentum is there to add another 128 for first round buys for the top seeds, and
Yeah,
I think that day is coming. May
I
not
do
come.
too.
I think it's coming. So, as far as Loyola is concerned, so one of the things that people need to remember here again is that the first criteria is wins. Um, and some people may be confused by like, well, they're a 500 team. Shouldn't they get in by being 4-4, as opposed to 4-5? No, the winning percentage doesn't matter at all.
Yeah,
It's whether you have 4 wins or not. And we got to remember too, I mean, that they do have a game to play. They still have to play Mount Carmel. Will Mount Carmel sit some kids to get healthy? I don't know. Would that even make enough of a difference to change the result? I kind of doubt it,
yeah,
honestly. Um, so, and I think somebody else asked too. I saw another question for us. It's like, why did Loyola schedule 8 games? Well, they didn't have a week 2 game, couldn't get one. And honestly, I think probably they thought it wasn't going to matter. I think they probably figured, okay, well, we can get 5 wins here, and it's not going to matter whether we don't have that extra game. I think we can go to 5-3. Well, they can't go to 5-3 now. Well, actually, I guess they could. They could if
yeah,
they beat Mount Carmel, but it's
right.
unlikely. I think we would all agree, that they could go to 5-3. So, um, it is what it is. They always have trouble scheduling opponents, but one of the things that's kind of hard to understand is Maine South never has trouble scheduling those first two games.
Yep.
Lincoln Way East has had some trouble. They had the forfeit down at East St. Louis a few years
But
ago.
they had something scheduled. That was last minute.
Yeah,
There's a big difference.
they did have a game scheduled, but why can't Loyola schedule a game? I don't know. I think
I get it. They're Loyola. No one's going to come knocking on their door in most cases. I get it.
They're going to have to,
find a way.
Different things. And I mean, in week 1 this year, they went to Merrillville, Indiana to play games. So they couldn't find anybody in the state to play either week 1 or week 2.
And someone, and I want to throw this out here because I thought it was really interesting. And someone brought this up on my message board early in the week. And yes, believe it or not, there is an idea or two that comes out of that place. I'll leave it at that. You do get some really good fans and some good questions. The guy posted and he asked, I thought it was great. He goes, is the problem with scheduling, is it that you can't find games or you can't find the right games? It's a really good question because how many schools, Mike, and coaches have you really talked to that tell you that it is that difficult for them to find games? Or do they want to be? And again, this is nothing with Loyola because you're Loyola, okay? People don't want to naturally play you. I get that. But other schools that want to handpick their schedule. Well, I want a team kind of good for week 1, but then I want a team that we know we're going to be pretty comfortable beating the you-know-what out of in week 2, and then we'll go into our conference.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
That's definitely a problem. And there are other schools that just are proactive about it. In the Illinois Central 8 this year, Lyle told the rest of the conference that it was not going to play a varsity schedule. This was back, months ago.
Yep.
So everybody had to make a decision at that point. And there were, I want to say, 2 schools that said, okay, we're going to take a forfeit. We'll take that forfeit win. And other schools did not do that. Manteno went down and played Gibson City, Melvin Sibley last week, a ranked 1A team, and won.
Yeah.
This is the best of both worlds for the Panthers, who are my alma mater. Full disclosure,
cool.
it was a great call because not only do they get a win, which helps them to get to 5 wins, which is
a lot of playoff points.
Yeah, Gibson City, Melvin City is a quality program, so they got a competitive game. They got some playoff points, so that wound up working out great for the Panthers. Other teams decided, okay, we'll take a bye, and I don't question any coach or AD's decision to do one or the other, but the point is, Crete played Danville during the season. They had an opening in their Southland Conference schedule, and there are other conferences that have these openings. I think the Big 12 is another one that doesn't have the right number of teams. And, obviously we saw it in the Southwest Valley. Lincoln Way West went out to Lapeer, Michigan last week. So it can be done, if your coach and or AD gets started on it soon enough, because basically these things have to be decided now for next
100%. Yep. And hopefully you get a situation where you can do a home and home, and you're helping the other guy out as well if you're able to do that. But like you said, Mike, sometimes it's just a one-off with a conference, and that doesn't make it any easier. But most schools seem to find a game one way or another.
Right. So the holdover question, which, as you mentioned, is a great question.
Great question.
We were asked, what is the greatest game we have ever covered? And you got to.
I got one really fast. And I really didn't have to put a ton of thought behind it. And believe me, Mike, there's been a lot of great games.
I think
there's one that always stands out.
I think we may have the same one too. I'll let you go first. So.
Jolie Catholic, Riverside Brookfield, at Riverside Brookfield. people climbing trees, watching. Most packed I've ever seen that stadium at Riverside Brookfield. The buildup was insane. Riverside Brookfield with Otto Zeman and that wild 5 wide offense. Timmy Brasic at quarterback. The buildup was just absolutely incredible. The hype was incredible. There's a couple that came close. There was believe it or not, 2 of them included JCA. The other one was JCA Morris.
Well, okay. I've got a third JCA game that is my game.
Oh, I know. I think I know where you're going because this would have made one of mine too.
2011 Class 5A state championship.
100%.
Joliet Catholic and Montini.
Yep.
Ty Isaac, Jordan Westerkamp. Video game numbers.
Yep.
Records that are never going to be broken.
Back and forth. Big play.
I was going to look at what was the score of that game? Was
it like 50? Was it 70s? Really?
I want to say it was in the 70s, but I'm going to look it up here real quick.
Well, that game, it's funny because, I knew Jordan probably since his sophomore year. Ty Isaac, I've known since he was a baby, like a kid. Mm-hmm. My wife worked with Ty's grandmother at her job, so I've known Ty's grandma forever, knew the family forever. So, again, I remember Ty when he was a little kid and just, got to know him really well. And so I knew people on both sides. And yeah, Mike, that one for sure. The thing with the one with the Otto Zeman one at Riverside Brookfield, like I said, it was such buildup for that game. And it was another just back and forth. And that one, I think, I want to say it was like 56-52 or something was the final.
Okay.
But that was just a crazy, crazy game.
Okay. I'm looking at the box score. It was 70-45.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to give you a few numbers here.
Yeah, for sure.
Ty Isaac, 26 carries, 515 yards, 6 touchdowns. So he averaged 19.8 per carry. Okay.
Yeah.
John Rohde, the quarterback for Montini, 29 of 45, 587 with 7 touchdowns. Jordan Westerkamp, 12 catches, 353 yards, 5
ridiculous.
Touchdowns. Joe Borsellino, 9 catches, 120, a touchdown. Yep. The number there were 2 punts in this game, which kind of surprised me. Joliet Catholic did not punt.
No.
Montini actually punted twice, and they scored 70 points, and they punted twice. So
was JCA, was that Benson as one of their keys, or was that Swarzinski, one of them? No, Ty Isaac, right? But then I'm trying to think.
Malin Jones was the other.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, Malin Jones had 27 for 187.
Yep.
As a complimentary, and
as an average.
Yeah, Dimitri Taylor from Montini ran for 196.
Yeah.
Also, so let me see what the total yards were here.
And then the other one I wanted to include, and I mentioned it, was basically the John Durgo game, where Durgo opening first play runs for a touchdown against JCA, and I was like, okay, all bets are off. It's going to be a wild one. And I remember getting there because it was at night. It was a Saturday night. I went to a game during the day, made it to Morris. Mm-hmm. God love Morris. Had a place for me to park. Got out to the field, and Mike, I remember walking out there, and I just see a line from the Morris box office, and it just wound around like that entire neighborhood where that stadium is. Mm-hmm. Absolutely jam-packed. I mean, that place, you couldn't fit another person in that place. And just when Durgo scored on that touchdown, the place just exploded. Yeah. And it was just memorable back and forth and just an unbelievable experience. So there you go.
There's one game that I know of that I didn't cover. It was Mount Carmel and Homewood Flossmoor at Gately in the rain, in a driving rainstorm in the playoffs. Both teams were undefeated. It was either 88 or 89. I want to say it was 89. And there are a lot of people at Mount Carmel who think that's the greatest game that Mount Carmel ever played in.
Wow.
Guy named
Was
Mark.
that was Jeff Lesnowitz, was it, for HF?
I think it was, yeah. Mark Norville, the receiver for Mount Carmel, caught a touchdown pass last play of the game to win it for the Caravan again in the absolute, sideways type rainstorm. Yeah, and that was when HF was in that spell of they had like tremendous teams and could not quite get over the hump. But that was, I was told that was when I was at the Times of Northwest Indiana.
Yep.
Ron Brow, who was my boss at the
time.
Oh,
yeah. Long time. Yep.
I'm going to go cover this game. And we thought, okay, it's probably going to be a pretty good game, two of our better teams, and he would rave about it, and again, people at Mount Carmel that I've talked to. And I was actually at another game during that playoff. So that was the year. It was either 88 or 89. Mount Carmel played an undefeated team in the playoffs every round, and they beat them. And I remember a game at Old St. Rita at 63rd and Claremont. And I don't know if you were ever to a game there or not.
Been there. Yeah, I was there. The 80-yard field. Yes, I was there.
Yeah, with the brick wall
like
right next to the sideline. I have never been in a place that was more crowded than that particular game.
Yeah.
So it would have been the second time they would have played because they played in the regular season. This was obviously a playoff game, but that was another one that I remember. And then they actually beat East St. Louis, I want to say, in the title game that year when East St. Louis was undefeated as well. So that was like maybe the greatest. That might have been the greatest playoff run of any team to beat an undefeated opponent every round. So,
wow.
Thanks for that question.
I was like, oh yeah, this is a good one, no doubt. So
and I unfortunately I never got a chance to see any of those RB teams, those pass happy RB teams that Otto Zeman had. I'm sorry, I never got a chance to see them.
Was that Taylor snagging those up from you all the time?
Well, I wasn't at the Sun Times at that point. I don't.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to remember when that was. I think that might have been before I got to the Sun. Well, even
probably
I didn't start covering football full time until about 2010, actually. So that would have been before that, I want to say.
Yeah.
But,
very
thanks.
good. All right, we're over an hour, so we're gonna
we haven't even talked about Week 9 matchups yet.
Yeah, we're gonna go through it now. There's some good ones for sure. So again, Mount Carmel, they are at Loyola. Loyola playing on a Friday, so obviously with lights now, Loyola being able to do that. So that's a little bit of a change. I think everyone got used to it being on a Saturday, right? watch that and watch playoff pairing after. Mm-hmm. That is not the case this year. So that game is Friday at Loyola. Nazareth and St. Francis, Mike. Every year it seems like it's Week 9, and every year it's a really close game.
Yeah, and St. Francis is on its backup quarterback as well, I noticed. That's it's unfortunate we have quite a few key quarterbacks out. We'll see how many of them come back in Week 9 and beyond. So
Barrington at 7-1. They're at Hoffman Estates. I know Hoffman's had a good year this year. I mentioned Lincoln Way East. They are hosting Sandburg. That game is Thursday night, by the way. So that is Thursday. I will be out there again with WJ while they're doing the game live. If you can't be there, you can listen online. York at Lions. Again, every game seems to be a crucial game now in the West Suburban Silver. So that'll definitely be a good game. Hersey and Rolling Meadows, Mike. Rolling Meadows, I believe they're 7-1, I think, or 6-2 on the year. So they've come quietly, have had a nice year as well, and 3 solid teams coming out of the Mid-Suburban East come playoff time. So that'd be a good matchup. And then, again, it could be checkers, chess, cheerleading, whatever. Providence at Joliet Catholic. There's always something to play for, and especially this time around for JCA, trying to get a 4th win and then keeping their fingers crossed and hoping the Wizard of Kankakee can cook up something to get them into the playoffs. So we'll see. Providence playing very well. They're at 6-2. And one thing, Mike, I know for sure, they are not going to take it easy on Joliet Catholic. That much I do know. They will get Providence's best game Friday night at the stadium.
Yeah, one of the other Catholic League ESCC games, St. Rita and IC.
Yeah.
St. Rita is at 4-4. IC is at 6-2. If St. Rita wins, they're in. But I want to say that I read or heard that St. Rita actually is projected to have more playoff points than any 4-win team if they wind up at 4 wins. So they would be
That kind of makes sense. Yeah.
they would be the first 4-win team in. So a lot of people around the state are watching to see if they get in at 5
Yeah.
with 5 wins or if they drop to 4 wins. So
Yeah. Yeah. So again, some good games to look forward to as well. Playoff pairings will be Saturday night. It'll be on WCIU at 8:00. It'll be a 1-hour show. Just kind of what you got used to last year, kind of the same format. Put the brackets out right away, a couple of thoughts, and next thing you know, Mike, it's all done and we're in the books and we're gearing up for round one. So again, anything else you've got to add, or are you good to go?
no, we have given folks a supersized episode today for sure. And
Yeah.
there's a lot to talk about, so that's fine. Yeah, get out, see a week 9 game, and we will
Yep.
be talking about playoffs the next time we come back to talk.
We definitely will. He's Mike Clark and EDGYTIM. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.